Hello and welcome back to the How to Be a Modern Content Creator. This time we're talking about social media and micro content. So going back to that idea that Gary Vee always talked about, creating 100 pieces of content today. It's not so much creating, it's more about just making the content and repurposing it and syndicating it and stuff like that. And we'll get more into how to go about disseminating later on, but I wanted to talk about the shotgun versus sniper approach because this is an interesting dynamic that a lot of people end up confusing. They think one is better than the other when in actuality they're both good, and usually one or the other is better at a certain time. And so in order to be a modern content creator in any space, you need to have an audience, specifically getting in front of people's eyes, and then choose one social to start and expand from there. By getting on one social, you can kind of get used to it and understand it, and then you get on to the next one. And so you really want to be everywhere. You want to be omni-channel. But just like with the written audio and video, you need to put in 100 reps and get used to that platform first. Now, Threads and Twitter are pretty much the same. So if you're getting into that one, you're going to know what to expect. But both platforms are different. The people on Threads are different than the people on Twitter. And so even though it's the same kind of platform, you got to get used to the different types of audiences there. Now, there's a lot of comparisons to be made about YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and TikTok, but all three platforms are different, and the content on all three of them are different too, despite the fact there's a lot of overlap. And so understanding the nuances between those three is very important. So you want to leverage that micro content, whether it's generated from you, just making a tweet or a video, or repurposing. So creating that bite-sized content tailored for the social media channel that you're on. And the micro content could be things like quotes, clips, infographics, even just simple quote images, that kind of thing too. And so something that can be easily shared, and it just allows you to increase your visibility and engagement ideally. This helps attract people towards your funnel, which will lead them towards the longer form of content. So going back to that shotgun versus sniper approach, I generally prefer the shotgun approach, but ironically, my next strategy for this channel is going to be more sniper focused, and I'll get to that in a second too. The shotgun approach involves spreading your content across multiple platforms without really a clear focus. It's not so much a niche thing. You're not doing you might even be doing 3 different niches when you're doing it, or you're just taking your pieces of content. So let's say you use Opus clip. You take an hour video, it generates 30 videos, but 22 of them are usable. Like the other 8 are like duplicates or not necessarily good enough for your taste. So you use like 20 clips there, and that's a lot of clips. Presumably 3 or 4 of them are going to pop off a lot more than the rest of them, just because of how all these different platforms work. I've had videos where I post a dozen from an interview, and 2 of them got a lot more attention than the rest, right? And that's how you find that data. I prefer the shotgun method because I'm just putting anything to the wall and seeing what sticks. And then I can probably take what sticks and then create content from there, and I get more data based on what people actually like. Now you have to actually make sure you do something with that data, keep that in mind. But then the other approach is taking the sniper approach and maybe only choosing 3 from that 30. Some people might even only do 2. But you're essentially narrowing it down to just the best of the best. And it's hard to know which one is our best unless you actually really know your show super well, or you have a specific plan of what you're trying to create. So the sniper approach is a little bit harder when you're repurposing. If you're creating content from scratch, sniper can be a little bit more easily done. But let's say you have that 3 posts that you're like, oh, I know these are going to do really well. Well, then you could post those, and presumably people are going to know you more for that kind of quality aspect. Not to say that the quantity doesn't lead to quality, because there's a lot of clips that people might not think are perfect, but they're really great in that 20. That's why I thought, okay, I'd rather get those really great out there as well, not just the perfect. And now let's go back to that sniper that I mentioned earlier. I need to do reviews on this channel for various tools. And it's one of those things where I have 1,000 tools on my site. I need to start reviewing a lot of these, particularly re-review some of the ones I looked at before because they're different now. Repurposed.io, Opus Clip, Nuelink, but they've all done significant updates since they got reviewed. And so it's some of them I haven't even touched as a review at all. And so I need to start doing more reviews. I also thought I want to do a sprint of really optimized short form clips that really kind of grab people's attention, more perfect than really great, if you will. And I realized I can combine those 2 endeavors. I can do now, especially now that YouTube does 3-minute long shorts. I can basically do these 3-minute, 2-minute long reviews of various tools, crank them out at a higher rate, but they're also more optimized. They're not just like toss into Opus and create it from there. I'm actually editing them myself and creating that clip and trying to do transitions and keeping the attention focus and switching between scenes, stuff like that. Things that are going to take some effort either in the recording or the editing process more than just using some of the editing features in Opus. And not to say that Opus isn't good. I'm just saying like I'm going to be doing a lot more effort to make these clips, but they're going to be short so I can do more of them over time at least. Finally, let's get to the last point here. Engage your audience. Social media is not just a broadcasting tool, right? You're not just sitting there sharing all your links and sharing all your clips and calling it a day. I mean, right now that's what I'm doing on TikTok because TikTok is kind of, I don't care enough about TikTok right now. But the point is, on Instagram, I'm still engaging with my audience. YouTube, I'm definitely trying to engage with my audience. And so TikTok, I'm just kind of putting out to the side. The point being, you're not just sharing stuff there. It's a place to connect. Engage with your audience through comments and polls and even stories. I love doing stories on Instagram. That's how I engage with a lot of my followers. And so building that community around your content. And it encourages loyalty and amplifies your reach through that word of mouth because they share your work with their networks. And just a note, YouTube is also going to be building or releasing, they already built it, but they're going to be releasing a communities feature on your channel. So that way, if you wanted to create this little Discord channel on your YouTube channel built in, you can have that discussion there. And so that's where you can really kind of come up with ideas. But yeah, social media is not just a place where you share your stuff and call it a day. You need to be active on there as well. Oh, before I quit recording, I was about to quit. I ended up coming up with a strategy because I needed to have more content on Twitter, Threads, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I also wanted to take advantage of the YouTube community. There's a difference between the community and communities because communities is two-way, community is just one way for me. But I wanted to start posting more on there. So I created tweets and messages that I wanted to share across all these written platforms. And then I syndicated them. While LinkedIn and Facebook are longer form, I have other strategies for LinkedIn that I want to do that are going to be separate from this campaign. But I also cross-posted this campaign to YouTube community. So now for the next year or so, I have posts scheduled out across all these platforms consistently that are adding value. They're not just like, oh, I'm sharing links. I made posts that are supposed to be engaging and come up with ideas to talk about, stuff like that. Stuff that I would normally tweet out anyways. And so that way I can kind of be ahead of things. Cheers.